No.
Hello, welcome. Hello, welcome to That's What Game. I'm your host, Rob. Welcome to Stream Street Day. Oh no, 250. Let's just call it 250. We did it, boys. We made it to 250. It's close enough.
Wow.
And I'm joined by the wonderful online Owen. There he is. Hey, Owen, how are you?
I quite like online Owen. That's a good one for me. It pretty much sums up who I am at the moment because most of my life is spent online looking at Warhammer things. But no, I'm good. It's Monday. That means we get to talk about Warhammer for an hour, which is fun. So yeah, I'm good. How are you today? You all right?
Yeah, really excited. Yeah, really excited. I love this show. Love doing the Monday show with you. But we'll get to the show today. Is always meant to be about AgeOfSigmar tournament results, of course, because a load of you out there are being brilliant. You own your masks. You're cancelling your events. And you're staying indoors. You're helping stop spread of a pandemic. You're brilliant people. That means we've got no tournament results, but that's excellent because that's exactly what we need. Well, that's actually a lie because we do have one tournament result. That's a little sneaky one, Owen, which you don't know about, which I've managed to track down using my sleuth ways. But everyone else has been locking themselves in or doing what they need to keep everyone safe, and you're all brilliant people. Well done. Tristan, thanks for subscribing. Scott B and T-Man Cash. Let's go. Oh, cheers, guys. That's a good start to the day. So I'm really good. I'm really excited to talk to the Twitch chat today. Tristan, a couple of weeks ago, was like, oh, when you're done with the Marathi book, can you go back and do the event pack thing that we did a few years ago where we analysed the battle plans and we create some event pack stuff out of it? So I've done that over the weekend. So tonight's show is going to be all about that, which I'm very excited about. Like, it's pretty fun. It's really fun, like, breaking it down. Really getting into the nitty gritty of it. So very much looking forward to tonight's show. So yeah, generally, Owen, and I get to talk about Warhammer.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been painting at the weekend with Fish. We've cleaned up the venue some more. T-Sports events coming soon to the T-Sports Arena. Brackets like post-COVID sort of situation. But yeah, good. I'm good. Thanks. That's for asking. You said you don't watch normal TV anymore.
No, TV. I mean, obviously, everything's been going that way anyway with Netflix and YouTube and what have you. But yeah, like I don't watch telly anymore because all I do is watch people play Warhammer on Discord, lurking around in the background, taking notes. Yeah, it's brilliant. I don't know. I mean, I think it's becoming more and more popular, but if you're in the Discord chat for like a certain tournament, and obviously over time as you're playing on Tabletop Simulator, you're finding other places to play games. And I ended up being in about 3 or 4 chats, Discord channels. And yeah, people playing all the time and they live stream their games. So specifically, I've got a hat in the ring here because I'm in the Butcher's Buffet tournament, but I've watched, I think, 4 games this weekend. So it's a bit like being able to hover over the player's shoulder and watch their game at a tournament on the top tables, or any table if you like, but I watch the top tables and hear their thoughts, because obviously you can hear the dialogue as they're talking through. So you've often got lots of lurkers like me, either researching what their opponent's doing or just watching it for a bit of fun. But yeah, screw telly.
Do you think you're learning a lot?
I'd like to, yeah, I hope so. If I can retain it, then yes. But that's the problem. I think we've all got loads of stuff in our heads. It's the retention and the recall that we struggle with sometimes as humans.
I think it's the recall, to be honest, because it is such a huge volume of information. It's that recall that I think is genuinely valuable. Oh, thank you. Everyone's subscribing today. It's nuts. Scrivo, thanks for subscribing. Colonel Cabbage, thanks for subscribing. Says stay safe for everyone. Toon King Tristan, thank you. T-Man Cash, Scott B, you're all great. Thank you to first-time subscriber. I think I saw Rabid Bunny. Thanks for joining the team. Thanks to W. Soren and MJ Pexis for donating some bits. Well, lovely. Most people don't like Mondays, but I'm enjoying it.
Well, I think looking at it, we've got our first ever AOS Stat Center hype train on the go. So toot toot. I'm excited about this.
Oh, yeah. If you guys get us up, eventually, maybe we'll be able to get an AOS Stat Center emote. That'll be the dream, Owen. And then we'll make it a subsidiary show with its own channel, and then eventually we'll just be everywhere. It'll be fun. Oh, and Speckles subscribed. Yes, Speckles. Also, shut up, Speckles.
Right. Be nice to him. He's a key worker, isn't he? I know it's.
He is a key worker. He's also a key. He's also got the key to my heart. Gorgeous man.
Wow. Someone's had their coffee.
I've had none for over a year. Now, Owen, we're going to talk about some events, some lists from events from this Butcher's GT that you're involved with online. However, thank you to Big Matt Davies like he's not big. He's just like he's in my heart. He's big. He's like a big energy person. Matt Davies himself, for sending me some tournament results. Here we go. So one day, 3-game AOS event in Rockhampton, Queensland. Yeah, okay. That's right. Yeah, my Queensland bros. Big shout out to Gabe and the rest of those guys up there. Now, Owen. In second was the Cities of Sigmar list, which we don't have access to. In third was the Seraphon list. Yeah. Okay, so the Seraphon list I'll do quite quick. It was Thunder Lizard, Croak, Ashloth Bannerbearer, Skink Priest, Stegodon with Skink Chief, Skink Star Priest, 3x20 Skinks, 5 Saurus Knights, 2x1 Salamanders, and a Bastillodon, Balebound Balewind Vortex. So a little bit janky and dissimilar to what we've normally seen at events, but you know, it's got the key elements for what we would normally see in some of those things, right?
Yeah, and it sounds more like there's like a nice spread there. It's not like double Bastillodon and Bound Burning Head, which I think is the most, you know, obnoxious way to run Thunder Lizards. Excuse me. But yeah, it's got all the usual suspects in there, hasn't it?
It does. It does. And now, I don't think this was an overly large event. I don't actually have the numbers for how large this event was, so I can't say that. And I don't know what the cities list was. I'm sorry. Oh, thanks Gunboat Tote for subscribing. That's lovely of you. And thanks to Cinderfall Gaming. Is it like the resubscribe day? Gunboat Tote, thanks for subscribing. MJ Pegasus, Cinderfall Gaming. Yeah, baby. All right. So cities list, we don't know. We've talked about on this show the Seraphon list all the time. The Thunder Lizard list. Now, one of the really interesting things I'm going to talk about on the show tonight, Owen, I'd love your opinion. Twitch chat, love your opinion as well. Get at me with it. The battle plans are so important for helping dictate and create the meta. More so than like maybe even until I like deep dived it yesterday. I was like, it used to be pre-GHB 2020. I'm like, bang focal points in a mission pack. Bang it in there, leave it in there for love nor money. Now, I'm like, is that right? I put that in what I call the bad scenarios. It's in a different bracket where I wouldn't include it because it significantly increases the power of several of the top key armies, specifically Crawler, OCR Bone Reapers, and Seraphon Thunder Lizards. They love this because they're behemoths and monsters. They sit at the back of the board. They generate an extra 2 VP per turn just for doing what they want to do anyway. Have you got any thoughts on that?
Yes, I actually am in agreement. I think you always saw focal points, as you say. It used to be like a classic, often a round 5. I think I remember. Yes, I played Nathan, of course, round 5 at Brotherhood, and that was focal points. But I do think the change is quite significant. I'd also throw ogres into the mix there. They do. Ogre Moor tribes love focal points, just monster trucks smashing everything off and getting. We should say the reason why they love it is because you get an extra point, don't you, if you have a monster within 6.
It's a monster or behemoth, which is quite interesting because you only allow 4 behemoths in your army list. So that's okay, it's only going to be 4. Maybe one of those is going to be a character. However, the monster keyword doesn't necessarily correlate with the behemoth battlefield role, which are separate. So as Plymouth Trollslayer say in the chat, the Warhammer Freedom Fighter, when he's got 14 cockatrices, he's getting bonus VPs for days. He's got his cock all over the board.
Right, we've got the one cock reference out of the way for the show, right? We can move on and be gentle.
We can move on, yeah.
But yeah, I think much like how my opinion on Blade's Edge has changed over, as we discussed last week, and I played it again at the weekend, and I still think that our new opinion that it's a shit mission, or at least it's a difficult mission to win if you don't go first, that holds true. And I think the same year with focal points. I think you get your big monsters or your behemoths. Again, let's say Thunder Lizards, 2 Bastillodons at the back of the board. They don't want to move anyway. They're just going to sit on those 2 objectives near the Bound Head and Croak, and they're going to score an extra 2 points every turn, which means that they don't have to commit forward and they can just zap you off anyway because that's what they want to do. So, focal points. I think I've only put it into a Hammer Time pack once because I was kind of the opinion that it might be a little bit skewed towards some of the, as you say, the powerful armies, the already powerful armies. It is funny how just a few little tweaks in the GHB can really change not only like armies, but also all these battle plans and how we think of them. Yeah,
Absolutely,
so.
absolutely. I think that's one of the things that in the future I think we should try and get together with as well. Like, as we try and work out the battle plans when we do these when the tournaments come in properly as well. Get a proper reporting system, all sorts. But it's quite important, because you kind of think to yourself, oh, like, that's a big deal. Like, and I really would like to know what they were playing through, as well as obviously who they played. I think that's always important, because like you said, in that Thunder Lizard matchup, you're scoring 2 VP on focal points just for sitting where you sit. And that is what you basically get for holding the center. Like, and that's massive. Over the course of the game, if those Bastiladons don't die, that's 10 VP.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's wild. That's absolutely wild. When maximum that's available per turn on the whole battle plan is 8. So
yeah, I mean, those basties have only. I mean, you've only got to get through an unrendable 1-up save as well, right? So, good times.
Yeah, you're not taking them off with one Mystic. Arcade Bolt. Anyway, no. Yeah, Diadrin, the Bastardon. Also, Diadrin, I saw that you got your AgeOfSigmar Honest Wargame water bottle the other day. You're fucking gorgeous, man. That's great. Happy with that. Podcast, guys, it's a great opportunity for me to say stay hydrated, and thank everyone on Patreon for supporting us, so that we can, Owen, me too. Let's all stay healthy.
It's classic lockdown, isn't it? We'll all drink together.
Right, I'm going to have to drink this water, Owen, because. Well, I tell you about the army in first place. Yeah, I have to. I'm going to have to take the foot that's in my mouth out, and hopefully the water will help with it. It was won by an army whose army name was Thick Boys. That's right. It's a Sons of Behemoth list. Sons of Bahamut. And let me read to you what is in the list. So there's a Gatebreaker and a Kraken Eater. Because it was done on Azir, the terrible app. It's not terrible. It's way better 40k one, but it's not War Scroll Builder, which is the best. I don't know what sub-faction it is, but I imagine the Gatebreaker is the leader. No, the Kraken Eater is the general, so I imagine it's Takers, because in order to take Takers, the Kraken Eater is your general, right?
Does it say what the command trait or the artifact are?
Yeah, George of Moglodon and the Glowy Lantern, so it will be Takers. That's Takers.
Yes, that is. I think that's Takers. Yeah, that is Takers.
Yeah. So that sub-faction is the sub-faction that makes all of your Gargants be worth even more on objectives, right? I'm a good demon honest. I don't play AOS. I'm just here for the beard. You creepy fuck. You can stay. Welcome to the team.
You're with your brethren now.
You're in the right group. Yeah, welcome to the show. So Gatebreaker is in there as well. The Kraken Eater, and again, Jaws of Moglodon, the Glowy Lantern, which has been FAQ'd as of this weekend, which is pretty important. The command trait, very acquisitive, which honestly, I only got sent this 5 minutes before the show went live, so I haven't had an opportunity to read what very acquisitive does. And then there was a unit of 3 man crushers, 3 times 1 man crushers. So 3 babies, a unit of 3, and then 2 megas running around the board. Owen, you got any thoughts on this? You've been seeing a lot of Gargant play recently. You've got some strong opinions, or some thoughts at least.
Yeah. I mean, I think they perhaps on the table are doing better than I originally thought they would, and I think that they are stronger than my first impressions. And I think, I'm happy to be, wrong on my initial interpretation. I think that there seems to be 2 ways to go, and this is option A. You either go 2 megas and then 6 little ones, either in a 3 and 3 singles or 6 singles, but most people like to take the 3 because it's just the 1 drop. Or you go triple mega and just 3 little ones. I think that's the only list diversity we ever tend to see outside of some different traits and artifacts. But yeah, I mean, I think 1 model counting as 30, because obviously in the Taker tribe, the big fellas, the big lads, the thickest of the thick boys, they count as 30 models, not 20, and the little ones count as 15 rather than 10. So it's just a game of, I'm going to walk onto the objectives. Can you kill me quick enough?
Yes, which is like genuinely like I can see that play style. Like, I know I've been mean to the Gargants, and also I've rubbished them and thought that they're shit. And I congratulations first off to the person playing this army. It's a 1-dayer. is my only qualifying factor. But that's it. They took it out. I do think that based on what I said, I am going to change my opinion a bit. That it comes up from a 0.5 to a 1.4. But I'm in my head when I'm talking about this sort of play and result, it really comes down to the prevalent threats in my head. Like, especially if you were to do something like a team tournament. Nathan, which I'm going to ask him about tonight, seems very certain now that there's a lot of team play available for having a Gargant army in your team composition, which I think is fascinating. I really want to unpack what he's got to say about that tonight. I don't see it right now. I don't see how that plays in, because I feel like if you bring the right threats, you take them out all day. I think they lose really hard to their counter. However, if you don't have the counter in the army, which is basically anything that can stop them, or anything that can just kill them real quick, which there's some pretty good punch out there in the world.
Yeah.
Then I don't really. Then maybe they walk over you a little bit. Like those evasion armies and those armies that play like a little bit more defensively. Potentially can't really deal with these, and they just get outscored on the objectives.
Yeah. They are. It's a funny one. They are quite hard to control, especially now that they can walk over endless spells. Like I watched a game between Cole Wright with his Skaven, who we're going to talk about in a little bit. I watched his game against Ash McEwen, and he was able to basically negate one Mega Gargant for the whole game because he put Warp Lightning Vortex in front of him. And at that point, there was no FAQ, so Ash is a gent, and he was like, look, I'm not going to play it that you can walk over it, just because some people on podcasts have said you can. But now it's been confirmed he could have literally just long shanks it over the vortex, which would have made the game very different. So yeah, they are hard to hold back. I do think I have seen Geminids. I know it's just Geminids, so they're amazing, but Geminids do work. -1 to hit really affects those megas, but then it doesn't really matter because they don't really care about killing stuff because they just want to sit on the objectives.
Yeah, they have a very specific win condition, and it is get onto an objective. If you can negate so they just can't get onto an objective, I think you beat them. However, excellent. I'm done with the poo-pooing because I don't need to. Like, can we just talk about the fact that fucking Wes Graham has done a 3-0 with them? Fucking congratulations. That's great news, right? For all that, gives all of the budding Gargant men out there hope. Which is good because that's what they need, I think.
They're gonna be bloody. They're gonna be bloody everywhere, aren't they? I think the amount of people that are painting them. I think that people need to think like, can I kill 30? Because there's nothing worse. I've had it done to me. I've left a mega on 1 wound after double activating Archeon into him. And the -1 to hit really helped the mega. But yeah, there's nothing worse than just wailing on somebody and then them being left on 1 wound but still counting as 30 models. It's huge, and that's why I think it can be a bit of a shit game to play because you're just like, oh, I can't fell these things and I can't control them and they're just there. Which fair play. I think people are getting results, and again I'll say in the Butcher's Buffet tournament, which is the one that I'm participating in and watching a lot of games of, Ash, despite that loss against the Skaven, he's won all his other games. Let's see, he beat Fire Slayers last night, and he's beaten Slanesh, and he's beaten double Catapult Bone Reapers. So I feel like Catapult's not the right play into the Gargants, really. I think what's nice also about this list that you see here with the 2 megas, the unit of 3 and the 3 wands. The 3 wands can go and just camp an objective, and it's that rule where they count as 10, right? The man crushers each. I think that's right. They count as 15 in takers.
Amazing. In takers, that's amazing. So they're great for just sitting on that one objective. So really, like your unit of like Heart Renders or 5 Camo Skinks or whatever it is that normally would go and pick an objective off them, they can't do that because they do have to take out those little man crushers. I do feel like the way to play this is just to take out all of the man crushers though, and just like block up the other Gargants. But then there's also Kraken Eater can kick, which is quite key. And there's also a giant conversation the whole competitive community has to have at some point about what to do about that FAQ. You got any thoughts on this, Owen? Have you through yet?
I have, and I've seen it in play as well. The fact that the quantity of victory points you can gain from the where the objective is on the board, and then combining that with the ability to kick the objectives. So I watched Battle for the Pass, and on the first two turns, the Gargant player kicked his home objective into the midfield, meaning that his opponent could never get 4 points for that because it's based on where it is. And it also meant that the Gargant player then scored 2 points for it because it was in the midfield, so it's counting as one of those mid ones. Mm-hmm. So the point swing on that is nuts. Also, Total Commitment, which was the game played, the current game that's being played in this round of the Butchers tournament. Again, Total Commitment, if I'm not mistaken, you can kick that forward out of the deployment zone, and then they can only score 1 point for it rather than 3.
You score 3, and you score the 2 objectives your opponents have. You score 3 for each if you get them, and yours are worth 1 to you. So you kick it out. Now they've just got 3 that are available for 1. You kick it far enough, Owen, you eventually get it up to 3.
I think that's right. I would yeah. Oh my God, just keep going. Yeah, I'll have to caveat that I'm not 100% on that, but the overall point still stands that essentially, if there's a battle plan whereby the position of the objective then determines how many points it's worth, being able to manipulate where those are is insane. It's like,
yeah. Now, see, I'm really pro that. I think that's excellent. I'm really, really happy. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Owen, I'll come back to you guys in the chat in a second because you guys have been so nice. Oh, lovely. Obviously, the kicking objectives FAQ is super cool. Since the FAQ, just to catch everyone up, what happened was there was some pretty solid changes like we're seeing in this list here. The glowy lantern means that you are a wizard, which is great, which means you can cast endless spells. So that's a big thumbs up from everyone. Some really good positive changes, being able to step over endless spells, big positive change. Some weird changes that if you destroyed a garrison, everyone inside is still in the garrison and is fine. Weird. That's weird.
They must have really strong helmets or something, right? Or shields up, boys. The roof's coming in, but we're not dying.
So that's pretty strong. However, the weirdest one is that there is a rule now where you can turn off how scoring works in a scenario. It's super janky and it takes a lot of explaining, but effectively, it just means that in certain battle plans, which are battle plans that I probably wouldn't include in packs anyway, oftentimes you can change up the shape of how battle plans work, just because you get an ability to do so. Well, no, you've been given it through the FAQ. I'm not 100% certain whether or not that will see it work its way into competitive play. I feel like that might get TO'd because it's pretty solid for not letting people play games, which is a weird composition. I don't know if you had any thoughts on it yet, Owen, or you're waiting to see how it unfolds.
I'm waiting to see how it pans out. I think one thing that's good is that the real standout one is Battle for the Pass, because it's very evident that you can make that swing. But when we get back to playing in real life, you don't really tend to see Battle for the Pass too much because it's lengthways and it's a ball ache to play in reality when you've got a big long row of tables. So maybe that will help all the other non-Gargant or non-Sons of Behemat players a little. But I think it's not a deep book. So I don't begrudge the Sons of Behemat for having that kind of mechanic. And it does mean that the super low model count sort of build is viable because they can group the objectives and kick them along as they go.
The kicking's cool with me. I'm super cool on the kicking. Super cool on the kicking. Think it's great. Yeah. Really pro. Love the move. Love the kicking. I think it's all great. Being able to kick it around the battlefield so you can put it in straight things. Super into it. Okay. Oh, can I just thank everyone in the chat? It's been lovely. Arju said he's been listening. He's just joined it recently, trying to find some 40k objective markers, and he likes it. You're even making me listen to less Magic the Gathering content, which says a lot. that's nice, thanks. And then John Thompson's having a great time. Dave Fraser here. You guys have just been real nice today, so I just wanted to thank you. That's what I wanted to do for being. I appreciate you, like you appreciate us. Now, Owen, we've got some lists to look at. Is that right? Oh, again, congratulations to those people at that event. A little one day, but still fun to talk about. You got some. You want to catch everyone up with what's been going on?
Yeah, so as I say, Butcher's Buffet, we're kind of checking in with this. I mean, if it wasn't for Pask's tournament, we wouldn't have loads to talk about. Although I don't know if that's true. We always find something to talk about, don't we? But this is the one that's been occupying my thoughts, and I've been watching quite a lot of games. And I think it's really good because we're able to sort of chart and follow the progress of the tournament through the weeks. So it's 52 players, just for anyone who hasn't sort of watched any of the shows. So we've got 52 players playing 6 rounds, which I really like. So there's going to be a real definitive winner after 6 rounds, I'd imagine. Pask's pack has it's quite cute. You've got 6 rounds, so 6 different battle plans, and then there are specific auxiliary objectives that you have to complete for each round. So that's quite a nice way, so that you don't just have this. Everyone just doesn't pick the same sort of 6, and it's easier. There's so whoever wins and gets a lot of auxiliary objective points will have played really well, because some of them are quite difficult to get. Play a small over the world. Tabletop simulator. So yeah, we've checked in. It's interesting. The lists that we've looked at over the weeks, quite a few of those have bubbled up to the top. So just as a sort of, I don't know, like a match of the day style thing of looking at what the table's like. As we speak, the top 10 are occupied by the following. I mean, not all the games have been played, but we've got a Calibron Daughters of Cain list in 10th, played by Chris Hernandez. Ash McEwen, as mentioned, has his Sons of Behemat in 9th. They've both dropped a game each. Arthur Vulgaris, an Aussie South London Legion player, he got a great win yesterday against Seraphon with the double crawlers. So with his Bone Reapers, he's in 8th. Mm-hmm. Basil Inferrer with a Seraphon list. Let's have a quick look, see what flavour of Seraphon. I'm sure Croaky Boy will be there. Kotal's, yeah. Okay,
Winter's
the Knights, the sword.
If anyone's got a croak, you just keep staring them in the eye and say, "Winter's coming, baby. Winter's coming."
Yeah.
That is a reference, by the way, for new people to an upcoming winter FAQ, which effectively we tend to generally see points rebalances. We don't generally see large-scale rules changes, but we normally see points readjustments via a PDF online.
Going up. He's going up. Croaky's going up.
Going up.
Croaky's going up. Honestly, I watched in Pete's game. In Pete's game of the weekend, Croak basically killed a great unclean one in 2 rounds of magic, from full health to dead. 2 rounds. It's his. I cottoned onto your phrase. His sphere of influence. Yeah, that sphere of influence is anyone who plays Croak. Just straight away, as soon as he's on the board, measure 22 inches away from him, especially if you're a demon, and just, for as long as you can, stay the hell away from him, because he's a terror. So Basil's Kotal's Claw, 30 Saurus Knights in there, Rob. Seen quite a lot of Saurus Knights before. And then Noah.
Can I just say why I feel like we're seeing them?
Go on.
I don't. In no way do I criticise their mechanical output inside the game. I think they take up a good level of board presence. They're quite survivable. There's a lot of really good factors and features of Saurus Knights. However, the TTS models, are glorious because they've been taken from Warhammer Total War and they look gorgeous on tabletop. You telling me someone's spending money on 30 Saurus Knights? We're all lunatics who are willing to spend money on all sorts, but I don't think anyone's doing that. I don't think anyone's doing that, Owen. That's what I think. That'd be like hiring me to be a stripper.
It's a dino, though, isn't it?
It doesn't matter. It's an ugly dino on an ugly dino. No, I just.
But 2 dinos, 2 bad dinos make 1 good dino, right? That's the calculation.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Anyway, Basil's doing well. 3-1 at the moment. Noah, with his 45 Blight Kings and a Blight Cyst, is 6th. I think he's Spanish, so Jorge, I want to say Jorge Castillo with Lumineth Realm Lords, Techless. I watched his game. He beat Stuart. The Iron Guts went down, unfortunately, to a savage amounts of output from Techless. Clay Francher, he just lost out on a minor with that amazing hosts casting. The summoning on that is nuts. 20 summoning points a turn, pretty much. No, sorry, 12, 13 summoning points a turn. And if it goes off, you can get more. Like the summoning engine, mind-blowing. And then the top 3, they've all played 4 games. They've all won 4 games. So it's AZ with the 1-drop Stormcast, the Shootcast list. Cole Wright with a Skaven, like a mixed arms Skaven list, and then Pitari Ukarainen, the Finnish player with the Seraphon. That's the one with 12 Pterodons and 15 Saurus Knights in Kotal's Claw.
Nice.
So yeah, he got the win against all the Blight Kings on Saturday night. I think that was my Saturday night viewing. Yes, so I kind of thought, based on this, we talked about a few of these lists, but I thought we might look at a couple of underdogs. Although we are rambling, it's 20-1 already. But yeah, if we could, I think we'll have a little look at Cole Wright's list, the Skaven list, if you like.
Please do. Hello, Alex. Thanks for subscribing. I feel it's me, Owen. I waffled a bit, so apologies.
No, it's good. I love a bit of hot waffle, so that's fine.
You want pancake?
So let me get my notes up here. I haven't gone deep on this because Skaven have got so much tech, but I kind of wanted. There was a conversation between Clay and Cole at the end of the game, and I believe that Clay is quite a accomplished Skaven player. He's played Skaven a lot, so he was surprised at the inclusion of and had a new respect for the Plague Priest on Plague Furnace. So that's the lad, as a Khorne player who loves his Slaughter Priest and praying. I've got a soft spot for prayers or priests, so I figured we'd focus on that. But the list in general is an Arch Warlock. So he's Skaventide, has an Arch Warlock who's the general with the command trait Verminous Valor. That gives him a 4-up passing off of wounds to keep him alive. He then has the classic Law of Warp Vault Galvanism, more Warp Power, which is going to allow his Storm Fiends to reroll all their hits and wounds. Then he has the aforementioned Plague Priest on Plague Furnace with the artifact the Liber Bubonicus, and that allows his priest to have 2 prayers from the Plague Prayers table. So he effectively becomes a triple prayer, triple caster. He's then got a Vermin Lord Deceiver, which is a great pick. He has 20 Clan Rats, 20 Storm Vermin, 40 Plague Monks, 6 Storm Fiends, and a Warp Lightning Vortex. It kind of feels a bit like, like at Christmas, you get those like a cardboard sock and it's got all your favorite chocolate bars on it.
Oh yeah.
You've got your double decker and your picnic and your Snickers and
shout out my address is available for anyone who wants to send me any of those for Christmas. Really? Just saying. Yep.
Lots of socks lined up on the mantelpiece at
just behind me here, just loads.
Well, this list is like that. This is like the chocolate selection bar. He's looked at the Skaven Battle Tome, and I know he plays Skaven a lot, and he wants a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and he wants definitely want a packet of minstrels in there. So there's my Plague Monks. So he's like the greatest hits. But at the same time, it's not a random collection.
Sorry, Owen. No, you go. So sorry.
No, I ramble too much. You
No. Mine was just a terrible chocolate-based joke anyway, so it's fine. Please continue.
So yeah, this could be seen as quite a disparate collection, but there's lots of lovely power pairs here, and there's pieces that can play off each other. So effectively, we've got an Arch Warlock who can pass wounds off to a Skaventide unit, so it keeps him nice and survivable. He can buff the hell out of the Storm Fiends, and they're a genuine threat with their wind launchers and rattling cannons. He's then got the Plague Priest. Now, I didn't know. This is something that took me by surprise, but the Plague Priest on the Plague Furnace, he will buff himself and he'll buff the 40 Plague Monks. So we've got a nice power pair there. But he has a 13-inch aura, much like the Grey Seer on Screaming Bell. But he doesn't just give Battle Shock immunity to the Plague Monks, he gives it to all Skaventide wholly within 13. So that Plague Priest, whilst he does look like he just pairs up and gives buffs to himself and the monks, he can also be used in conjunction with, keeping the 20 Storm Vermin alive or, not battle shocking. So yeah, he's excellent. We've got 2 units of Clan Rats. People, again, forget that Clan Rats can retreat and charge. So if you hit that screen, then he can then jump behind you and charge around the back. And then Warp Lightning Vortex, which is just a terror. So yeah, it's got all sorts going on. The Vermin Lord Deceiver is a wonderful piece. In the meta, he's -2 to hit and shooting. Mm-hmm. He's got a 5++. And now I did contact Cole and was like, I don't want to give away all your secrets. He was like, oh, it's fine. Enough people have watched my game. So the Deceiver, he's got a lovely trick with the Deceiver where the Arch Warlock's got a great D6 mortal wounds to D3 units prayer. I think it's something like more lightning storm or something.
Oh, he's got a spell, hasn't he?
Yeah, his spell.
Yeah.
Now, the trick that I've seen Cole do a couple of times is that everyone thinks about the Deceiver and they're going, oh, God, the Deceiver can pop up because his spell is you can do a teleport and you can be 6 inches away. So everyone's worried about the Deceiver. And then you look at his profile and you're like, oh, he does a bit of shooting and he's a bit crap at fighting. Like, I don't need to worry about him. He might come in and try and tag me. But what I've seen Cole doing is he will use it to teleport the Arch Warlock into the backfield. And then he'll teleport him next to a gnaw hole. So he will then throw out Lightning Storm or throw out Vortex. And then he's got the security of just popping the Warlock back to his original position through the gnaw holes at the start of the movement phase. So he's got this kind of big, bold play with a backup plan if the Vortex gets unbound, or, if it all falls flat, he can then just rock him back into the little Skaven castle and do it again next turn. And I think in a way that helped win him the game last night against Clay's Zeech, because he did that into his backfield and then Clay saw the potential and it made him block up all those gnaw holes more, and he didn't actually advance up the board as much as he could have done because he was worried about that happening again.
The access to teleport plus innate scenery based teleports, like really, like, because normal teleports, I don't know about you, Owen, my general process when I'm playing against any teleporting army is like, well, like, if I don't have the ability to control everything, I'll control what I can, and I'm like, well, you get to drop there if you want to, but that's your choice. I've left you the choice to do so. There's not a lot I can do. However, when you have control over the teleport by blocking up a gnaw hole, you are sometimes almost forced to do so because it's available. Like, whereas if you thought about it as like a general teleport, maybe you would kind of ignore it because you'd be like, well, there's nothing like. Does that make sense? There's nothing I can do against, like, because a lot of armies just generally teleport all the time. So sometimes you build progressive kind of like moving screens and you do it. Whereas you've got to face up against an actual teleport plus like a location based teleport. And I think maybe sometimes it gets in your head and you generally act differently to how you would normally play against it.
And if you don't, then you get your pants pulled down and you get a Vortex in the middle of your army turn 1. So it's a tricky one. It's a cute thing that he can do there. So he has got that range that if he does get outdropped, he's got some turn 1 plays because 24-inch range on the wind launchers they don't need line of sight. -3 D3. He's also got scurry away, so he could throw the Deceiver in, make the charge, and then first activation retreat and run away onto a back objective or something and turn him around even more. As we say, I did want to focus down on this Plague Priest on Plague Furnace. So the way he's built it with the Liber Bubonicus, basically that allows him to pray 2 times from the Plague Prayer table. So he's got an innate prayer on his War Scroll, and then he can pray 2 times to get try and manifest a Great Plague. Now, they tend to be quite short range, but from his War Scroll, he can do Filth to give a Pestilence unit. So generally the Plague Monks reroll wounds, which, Plague Monks with reroll wounds is pretty savage.
Pretty horrible.
And then he's also got Rabid, which could give +1 attacks. Now, he can only choose one of those 2. And then he has the Echoes of the Great Plagues, which is in the Battle Tome. There are like 5 Great Plagues, and they basically, if you roll for a prayer and you roll a 6, you get to manifest a Great Plague. And much like casting armies cast without a target so that they can get summoning points, you can pray for these prayers just to try and get the 6. Because if you roll a 6, you can manifest a Great Plague, and everyone, like every time I've played Cole and other Pestilence players, they always want to get the Never Plague. And what the Never Plague does is if you get that 6, especially early in the game, you then get to reroll all your prayers for the rest of the game. So you're then able to get that hopefully manifest another 6 and get another Great Plague off. And they tend to do mortal wounds. You've got one that does like Stellar Tempest, every model in the unit, mortals on a 5-up. But the one that I particularly like, which he's done to me once, is the Redmaw Plague. Rob, do you know what the Redmaw Plague does?
I don't know what it does. To be honest, the Great Plague's not something I've read in a while. And because normally they happen, like as you said, when you roll a 6, right?
Yeah. And it doesn't tend to happen very often, but the way that Cole's built it in the fact that he's got an extra prayer, so he's got 3 chances every turn to hit that 6, and then from that point on, he's going to get things much more. He's going to reliably get those prayers off. So the Redmore Plague, I particularly like this one. It's a bit like the Gene Stealer Cult ability in 40k, where you can take control of your opponent's unit and get it to attack another one. So essentially, it's if this Great Plague manifests, pick the nearest enemy hero within 13. So yeah, short range, but we play quite tight missions sometimes. The nearest enemy hero within 13 of the priest chanting the prayer. That hero is infected with the Redmore Plague. Basically, if a hero infected with the Redmore Plague is within 3 inches of any other models from its own army at the start of any combat phase, and it's not within 3 of any models from your army, you can treat that hero as a friendly model until the end of the combat phase. So, take control of Archeon and get it to kill all of the fellow troops, or I don't know.
That's cool.
Take control of. You could even maybe take control of something which, take control of Marathi and get her to attack a load of troops with bladed bucklers, and then you do mortal wounds to each of them as she attacks them. Then they bounce mortal back onto her, and it's cool, right? It's a fun.
It's very cool.
And then
very cool.
There's lots of other ones you can do. There's the Crimson Wheel Curse, the Bubonic Blight Plague. I just like saying these words, by the way, Rob. So
it's also awesome. It's also awesome. You just like boom, and then you just get to shout "Big Plague!"
Yeah, let's go.
Everyone's like, "This is not the time to be shouting that. That is wrong."
Oh my god, I haven't really read the room here, have I, Rob?
I don't think you have, Owen, but like,
cut it out.
Everyone, ignore what we just talked about for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
No, it's a cool mechanic, though. It is a cool mechanic.
And that's not it, you see, because on his war scroll, let's talk about him as a piece. So 200 points, okay? That's equivalent of 2 slaughter priests, who are 12 wounds on a 5-up save. He is 13 wounds on a 4-up save. He gets Lookout Sir. He gives the battle shock immunity bubble to all Scaventide units held within 13. He has a 5++ ignore. In the combat phase, when he's at full health, rolls it on a 2-up. He does D3 plus 4 mortal wounds with his big sensor crashing into the opponent. He does mortals at the end with his poisonous fumes. He can fight. He's an unbindable triple caster. Force multiplier. He protects pieces around him.
And he's cheap.
200 points, man. Yeah.
200 points. Does he have the 5-up DPR as well?
He does indeed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really
so
can I say one of the things I like about this list is the drop in Storm Vermin down from 30 to 20. I've used Storm Vermin before, and you just don't get them all in. I feel like 20 is enough, like to provide the threat that you want inside the list. So I think that's a really good option. And what's interesting is like your like list of threats. You're worried about the Deceiver, you're worried about the Arch Warlock, you're worried about the Warp Lightning Vortex, and obviously you're worried about the 40 Plague Monks and the 6 Storm Fiends. So really low down on your list of priorities is the Plague Priest on Plague Furnace. But ultimately, like not only is it a support piece, but it's like it can dish out like a voluminous amount of damage as well at the same time. So it's quite nice that it's in there because there's a bunch of other prevailing threats that you're trying to manage and control before it's not top of your list, which means it's got access to do all of the things it wants to do for most of the game, which is quite scary.
Yeah, I mean, the one downside with it is it could only move if it's got 10 Skaven models within range. Now, it's within range of itself, so 9 models. Excuse me. So, yeah, you have to be careful with that. Obviously, killing the surrounding troops is a double-edged sword because you're like, well, I'll kill the troops so it can't move, but then they're never going to run away because they're always battle shock immune, and that aura never drops. Somebody in the chat has said, how does he get -1? How does he get -1 to hit? And it's how can we get to Lookout Sir? That was Desert Sketch. He's not a monster and he's not a behemoth. So he gets.
There isn't a wound limit. It's just a hero, isn't it?
Yeah. I think that's correct anyway, unless it's down to the fact that they do get Lookout Sir in combat, but that's only for the small heroes. I'll have to check on that. I'm pretty sure that he's -1 to hit. I'm pretty damn sure on that. But yeah, you're right on the Storm Vermin. And a lot of people don't think that 20 is viable because as soon as you lose one model, then they lose the extra attack, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Very much like 20 Marauders. People think, oh, knock the one Marauder off and then they don't have any rend. But at the same time, if you're YOLOing them through a gnaw hole and you've got them at the back of the board and you're protecting them, then the keeping them at that little block of 20 it's a nice. It frees it up. It's not like he's going for 40 and I've got, because you have to go down the route of having a Claw Lord generally, and then it's a much more expensive package, isn't it?
It is. And also, again, they're not the first thing you're thinking about, and because you're thinking about the 40 Plague Monks, you're thinking about the Storm Fiends. There's also 60 other clan dudes on the board. 40 other dudes in the Clan Rats, which are screens and stuff. So you're not doing any kind of you're not trying to push through a screen with like a little throwaway unit or anything like that to clear up for a bigger charge. And also, one of the things, there isn't tons of like random indiscriminate fire in the game, and there never really has been. If you're doing like 3 mortal wounds or D3 mortal wounds coming out somewhere, like it's going on a character, it's going on into the Plague Monks, into the Storm. You're trying to chip away somewhere else and stack it up. You're not just being like, you don't have like a 2-shot like bow somewhere on some character who's like pinging away. Generally, you don't. I mean, sometimes you do, like the more Crusher's Shout or something like that. Which is why top of the show, and obviously before the show started, I was talking about those lead belchers that kind of do that triple roll where they've got a bit of shooting, but mainly they're just better gluttons in combat. So I think they would be good. They'd just be like ping a few shots there, probably not actually kill anything. And then,
if your battle breakfasts or anything to go by, then probably, they don't do a huge.
That was the player, not the unit. That's what I'm saying. That's how I'm calling it. But yeah, super cool. And the priest in the furnace has got some big plays, and it would be fun to play with. Yeah,
definitely. Lots. It's lots to do. A good hero phase with lots of options. The way that he's sequencing, and he's not all in anywhere. He's not all in on shooting. He's not all in on combat. He's not all in on magic. It's like if one thing is hard countered, like okay, they're playing Teclis, every turn he's gonna auto unbind my more warp power. It's like okay, I can change my flex and I'll lean more into the prayers and making them more impactful. Yeah, it's good, and he's obviously doing well with it. He's got 3 majors and a minor, so he's looking good, and it looks like he'll be playing either the Seraphon, Peter's Seraphon, or the 1-drop shoot cast. Next round is Scorched Earth, the classic, our favorite. So
my favorite now, top of the pile.
Yeah,
top
definitely.
Of the pile. What is it you like about it?
I just think it makes castle armies really difficult. It does benefit the teleport. It splits people's armies up so they're maybe not sat within all their lovely auras, and it's just a real nail biter, isn't it?
Super tough. I think the thing is you're not safe anywhere. I think that you're too spread out. So it doesn't matter. I agree with you. It's that teleport. It benefits the teleports, but the teleporters normally teleport out from a safe space, from a bubble. They're just in there and then they teleport out and they're like, I'm still safe here on these 2 objectives. And it's like, well, there's actually 4 now. And they're like, oh, that's quite a lot. I can't spread. It just you feel very naked on that battle plan, which I feel, it feels quite good. It feels risky whenever you're playing it. So I'm a big fan of that. You've got a list of ghosts. That's what you've got, a list of ghosts.
Yes. This, again, is another one. I kind of looked at, not necessarily overachievers as such, but just a couple of the non-sort of top S-tier armies that are doing quite well. So this is obviously down to, I think, a little bit of player skill just as much as the list itself, because I believe that the Matthew Tyrrell, I think he's the Aussie Master at the moment, isn't he?
Current Aussie Master, lovely fella.
So he's doing it with Nighthorn. I did see we've got a tournament coming this weekend actually in Canberra, and I believe he's taking this list in person to that as well. So hopefully we can we can see how he does at the weekend. But this is a Nighthaunt list. So obviously, very much like your Sylvaneth and Legions of Nagash and Beasts of Chaos, you tend not to see them. They're kind of thought to be really down there in the bottom end of the tier brackets that people do. So he obviously wants to play on hard mode, and I've looked through the list. So it's Nighthaunt. He doesn't have any sub factions because it's an old book. So if I just go through the list, we have. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, very exciting for Broken Realms for Nighthaunt getting some sub factions potentially.
Yeah.
That would be a hot play for seeing some more of those armies on the tabletop. That's all.
Because the models are gorgeous, right? Everyone. They're lovely models, and it's a cool play style. I just think that the summoning doesn't keep them in the game long enough, and there's so much egregious output that their tricks they can just get whomped, right? There's just too much. There's too many mortal wounds and too much good damage to. I
think they haven't worked out what to do with death armies. They have, sorry, but some of the older model range. Obviously, we had Legions and Nagash, and we had Nighthaunt, but both of those armies, whenever they were popular and or successful, Legions of Nagash was, Nighthaunt really ever wasn't. It was all orientated around just being able to bring a whole unit back. So when we saw Legion of Grief come out, which is effectively Nighthaunt, but given Legion of Nagash also bring a whole unit back, we saw popularity and we saw success on the tabletops being played. But really, they haven't understood how to write their rules, and it's a good army in a meta. It ignores rent, which is brilliant, and it can put a lot of bodies on the board, which is also great. It all flies, which is good because you can both stop that flying, which is useful, and also they can jump screen, so you're never really safe. So they've got all of the potential structurally to make a very good and interesting army generally in the meta, as well as obviously being a bunch of beautiful armies. They just don't have the inherent core idea of what they are, I think, as a book, and hopefully we see that in the future because they've had a long time to think it through. So I'd be looking forward to that. I wouldn't mind seeing the Black Coach play some sort of War Shrine style role in an army.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think the big thing with the Black Coach is people say they want to give it the hero keyword so it can truly be, its own solo piece, because it's great. It can run and charge and stuff, but it can't re-roll any charges because it's not a hero, right? So I think it suffers a bit there. And I think a lot of people have got these models because a lot of people bought Soul Wars boxes, and it's quite a cheap army to collect.
And again, it's a gorgeous army. There's no get away from it. It's great. It's really, really good. But yeah, anyway. So what's in this list?
So in the list, he's essentially got. So as I said, there's no sub faction. So he has his leaders are Kevin, who is a Cairn Wraith. He has the artifact, the Shadow's Edge. Tell you what I'll do. If I run through it very quickly, then I'll go through what the artifacts and spells and stuff do, and then maybe we'll have a little overview idea rather than rambling through everything. So he's a Cairn Wraith. He has Kurdos Valentine, the Craven King. Fantastic for 180 points. He then has Lady Olinda, Mortarch of Grief. He has a Spirit Torment, who's a general with the command trait Ruler of the Spirit Hosts and the artifact Pendant of the Fell Wind. He then has a Tomb Banshee called Karen.
Oh, Kevin and Karen.
Yeah, Kevin and Karen, screaming away. And then we've got Battle Liners, 2 units of 10 Chain Rasp Hordes, a big block of 9 Spirit Hosts, and then he has 2 units of 10 Dreadscythe Harridans, 2 units of 4 Mimorn Banshees, and a Morn Ghoul, and and he's taken the Shrieker Host, which is essentially the 2 units of Banshees, the Harridans, and the Tomb Banshees sit within that battalion. Now he's not really chasing drops with this. It's 9 drops, I believe. My overall headline thoughts are much like you've said. The army in general, everything flies, everything's fast, everything's ethereal. They can deep strike, they can redeploy, and they have regeneration and healing. And the big one, obviously, is the wave. I believe it's called Wave of Terror. Yeah, the unmodified charge roll of a 10 plus, and they can fight when they charge, which is, huge if you can get that. So this is this plays very much around a bravery debuffing, battle shock manipulation, and there's quite a lot of sources of minuses to hit, and there's quite a lot of mortals on sixes to hit. So this sounds like a lot of fun to play because you're fishing for sixes for mortals.
Always fun.
You're fishing for tens on the charges. I mean, looking back, going to the top. So Kevin, the Cairn Wraith, he's 60 points, and he's got a nice artifact called the Shadow's Edge. Basically, if he gets an unmodified hit roll with a 6, it inflicts D3 mortal wounds, and the attack sequence ends. Now the Cairn Wraith already does 2 mortal wounds if you roll a 6 to hit. So he's going to do D3 plus 2 mortal wounds for every 6, and he gets some re-rolls to that, I think, when he's attacking bigger units. So he can go in and kill a unit of 10 models quite easily. He's only got 3 attacks, but that's nice. So he's fishing there. Obviously, the Spirit Hosts, it's a unit of 9, which gives you 54 attacks, which do mortal wounds on 6s. So that's, again, another nice source. You've got decent mortal wounds coming out of Lady Olinda. And that's pretty much it on the mortals front, I believe.
But that's still a lot. There's a lot available, yeah.
And then essentially Kurdos, there's some control there with his rule. If I cannot rule, none shall rule, which is he steals a CP on a 5-up at the start of the enemy hero phase. So that's really clutch for nicking. So there's a bit of control there. He's got 3 sources of -1 to hit because the Mourngul gives off a nice aura, which doesn't bracket, of -1 to hit within 6 inches. The Harridans, they make units -1 to hit if they're within 3 of them, and they have unless they've got a bravery of 6 or more. And Nighthaunt inherently make you -1 bravery. I believe that there's more access to bravery debuffing within this list. So the key thing with the Shrieker Host, again leaning into the bravery element, is you have to reroll battle shocks of 1 for enemies when they're within 6 inches of any of the Harridans and the Banshees. And you can't use Inspiring Presence on those units if you're within 6. So I think a lot of armies now just go, okay, I'll build a few CP. It doesn't matter, I'm low bravery. Nobody does anything with bravery anymore. And then this list really does mess with that. So into like a Cities of Sigmar, not being able to battle shock immune, you're sort of bravery 6 or bravery 7 dudes with the modification that the allegiance gives. There's some play there, right? He's got some strats, he's got some things that he can do. It's fragile, apart from the big unit of spirit hosts. Yeah, that's his anvil, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's faster than it should be thanks to the Pendant of Felwind. That obviously increases the speed of the army in the right way that it wants to go. And he's got some key pieces. I agree, it does feel like it's fragile, but again, you're looking at an army that's ignoring Rend. So, when you see those same wounds and profiles, they're being affected, and these aren't. So I think that's good. There's obviously also are there grave sites for resin? No, there aren't, are there?
No, the resing's going to come from the Spirit Torment. He allows the rule of the Spirit Hosts unit within 9 inches of this return D3 slain models. So that would be D3 Spirit Hosts back, and they're 3 wounds apiece. That's quite nice. Lady Olinda's command ability, No Rest for the Wicked, brings another 1 back. And then I really like the ability on the Torment, Captured Soul Energy. So start of the Battle Shock phase. If 3 or more enemy models have been killed board wide, so you'd hope that happens, unless you're playing Mega Gargants, then you can pick a unit within 6 and heal D3. And the fact that the Spirit Torment can bounce around, so he could bounce to somewhere and then heal back in the Battle Shock phase. There's some reasonable healing to sort of keep those units topped up. And the Banshees can fight a bit. Yeah, I think it's
the Banshees are good because obviously they've got the ability to unbind and the spells as well, so they get more deadly. Also, being like MSU-ish, I guess, specifically in the Harridans, the Banshees, and the Mourngul, is you've got a lot of opportunities to charge. And also in AgeOfSigmar, like I'm sure you guys know, and I'm sure Matt is taking advantage of this. You can declare a charge, but doesn't mean you have to roll it. Like he could have 2 Banshee charges rolled up. One of them's a 7, He doesn't, and then he just goes, "Cool, I'm not going to take it. I'm going to roll the 10." That gets him the fight twice. He's like, "Cool, I'm taking that." Or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he lines them all up and just rolls them. It's like 7, no, 7, no, 10, yes, excellent, and then puts them in. So he gives himself the options for that fighting at the start of the fight phase, no, charge phase, isn't it? Still, just fighting in the charge phase. So I think there's something to be said for that as well, for those min units.
Yeah, and I mean, because he's fighting in the charge phase, he can negate a lot of the stuff that comes from, I'd have to check, actually. I have to check before I say that. But there are things that, like, so for example, when a unit finishes a charge, if there's anything where it procs and it's within the combat phase, you can't do it. That charge wouldn't say. I'll have to check what Fangs of Sotek, they shoot and then retreat. If that specifies in the combat phase, actually no. I'm talking myself into a corner there. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. It's really good if they get to fight on a 10. That's pretty excellent, right? Because to clarify, they fight and then it goes to the combat phase and then they fight and then they pile in and fight again. Because they fly, they could potentially pile in over the remnant unit that they've just attacked, and then fight what's behind. So it's a way of getting in deep. Flying pile-ins are a thing of beauty when they're done. You can do some janky stuff with that. Because they're all on quite relatively small bases, apart from the spirit hosts.
It's in the charge phase. Big shout out to Ridge Hanna in the chat. Says after unit finishes charge within 3 inches, is when it occurs.
Damn those skinks.
I'm
trying to think of a way.
Damn them. So for parting shot, so you're still gonna be able to parting shot them. All right, well, exciting, and hopefully we'll get to see how he does with that, and maybe even I'll ask you, see if I come on the show and have a chat about it. That'll be fun. So then, talking about the future, obviously, like probably no tournaments or few tournaments. Big shout out to our New Zealand and Aussie bros who are just like smashing it out. Go you, well done for keeping it real. However, there's obviously new metas, new books. Obviously, Marathi books come out. Owen, you've got a blast from the past that you want to talk about now. I just want to quickly drop in. I've played a couple of games now on TTS against the brand new Stormkeep Patrol Battalion for the Stormcast. 2x30 Liberators, one with a 2-up save, one with a 3-up save, who redeploy before you take a turn, a 2-drop list that then just blocks you in and you're not allowed to play the game. And it's pretty strong. If you're having to prepare for Gargants, that's not a thing. If you're having to prepare for these guys, it's definitely a thing. It's outrageous. Have you played against it, seen it used yet, Owen?
No, I've heard the hype though. I think Adam rolled a 25-inch charge yesterday with the list. By spamming Gabs. Yeah, he spammed the CP 5 times and then rolled a 10. So that's a 25-inch charge. It's pretty wild, right? I was thinking about it. Do you think it's by design or do you think it's because GW didn't see this coming?
I mean, they didn't even know how to put the Slaves of Darkness battalion together. Like, it didn't even make sense. Not even battalion. Just the actual rules made no sense. So I don't think they intended it, and I didn't know. I don't think any. Yeah. It's like game winning. It's like 5-0 game winning. Like
turn 1 GG. If you can't fight your way out of all those tin cans, then you're in trouble. Yeah.
It's horrific. It's just like, here's a wall, and you're like, sweet, what do I do? That's it, we're done. GG. So that's something to think about for you guys. Just ask yourself what you would do with 120 wounds in your deployment turn 1, 60 of which have a 2-up save, rerolling ones, and 60 of which have a 3-up save, rerolling ones. So just ask yourself, how can I and also you have to pretty much kill them in 2 turns, otherwise, this is really important, obviously, there'll be no objectives for you to take. So that's rough, generally. I
think I have to make reference here because you brought it up, but I did see on Twitter Dave Fraser had absolutely killed it. That can we call the wing? Can we call the list? He had Vanguard wing, but can we call it the right wing because it's all about owning libs?
Yes, we can. It's on the
Oh,
nose, but I'll take it. That works really well. Oh,
yeah.
it's pretty
Yeah.
rough, but it does make an argument for taking only salamanders in the future. Just because maybe they can. Whatever. However, if you wanted to, do something different and cooler than Liberator spam, Owen, what have you been doing? Are we going back to Stream Street Day 20?
It was a while ago, and I don't know if it's cooler. It's just something that I've been enjoying doing. So I won't labour it. I don't really want to talk about my own lists too much because I'm certainly no wonderful list smith. I think I'm better at looking at other people's and finding out what they do. But this is fun. So I don't know if you've got it there.
I do. It's on the screen.
Just want to make sure. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, so basically, we talked about the ogres a couple of weeks ago. It might have even been last week, and their impact hits. And I think there is some play with impact hits in the meta now. I'm not quite ready to learn that book fully, so I just went back to what I know, and I've had another look at a Khorne impact hits army.
Yes.
So yeah, it's pretty simple. It's Reapers of Vengeance.
Like all the Khorne players.
So yeah, just run in the middle. Solid Khorne. Good old melee, eh?
Let's go.
So basically, from top to bottom, we've got a Slaves to Darkness Demon Prince with the Skull Shard Mantle. So he doesn't give a shit about spell casting. He's got a 2-up ignore. I have a Skull Master Herald of Khorne, who's the general, who is the Mage Eater, so he can unbind things and blow them up. He's the general, so he makes my Blood Crushers battle line. I then have a Lord of Khorne on a Juggernaut with the artifact, the Talisman of Burning Blood, and I have a Slaughter Priest with Blood Sacrifice battle line. 9 Blood Crushers, 6 Blood Crushers, 6 Blood Crushers, 2 units of 5 Fleshhounds, a unit of 18 Untamed Beasts, Garrick's Reavers from Underworlds, and a Murder Host. So it is a 4-drop army, I want to say. Essentially, all the battle line and the Skullmaster sit within the Murder Host battalion. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's actually 6 drops with Garrick's Reavers. Now, it's pretty damn simple. All I want to do is charge at people and blow them up. So the Blood Crushers, when they have a unit of 6 or more, when they complete a charge, each model within an inch, you roll a dice, and on a 2-up, they do D3 mortal wounds. So 9 Blood Crushers, say I roll 2 1s, that's going to be 7 D3 mortal wounds. So
14 on average.
Yeah. The Murder Host Battalion, essentially the Skullmaster, if you're wholly within 16 of him, you get +2 to charge for all the Crushers and the Fleshhounds, +2 to run and charge, in fact. And then the Lord of Khorne on the Juggernaut, the reason I put him in, he does impact hits. So does the Skullmaster, in fact. But yeah, the Lord of Khorne, it allows me to take the Talisman of Burning Blood, which only a mortal bloodbound Khorne hero can take. And that is another +1 to charge aura. So effectively, I've got +3 to charge without rolling any dice, as long as they're in the right auras. So yeah, essentially, it plays very simply. The Demon Prince, I'm torn on him. I don't know whether to go for something killy, because I don't know if it's anti-synergistic. My thoughts were that his command ability goes up and then people can't charge me, but then I hold them in place and then I can charge them. But because his bubble's so big, it sometimes means that they're actually held up quite far away. So I'm unsure on that. But he's also a demon, and he fights at the start of the combat phase. So with Reapers of Vengeance, I can get him to pile in an attack twice. So he can do some work. He gets +1 to hit on the charge. So he's 2s, re-rolling 1s on all of his combat profiles with 2 damage each. So
I think you need it in there. Like, I mean, we've talked about this time and again, but like honestly, a retreat and charge command ability into Khorne would be like the thing of the gods. Like, just one on any unit, any character, and it's in. Like, we're all for it. But being able to, so you've obviously got the Untamed Beast in there to control board space early, so you're not just getting charged and locked in. But then having the Khorne Demon Prince also controls that as well, so you can get those charges off. Because unfortunately, the Blood Crushers hit like a noodle in combat. Like, it's just atrocious.
Oh my God. It's like, okay, I charged. a unit of 12 gluttons. Yeah, and I did 20. I did 13 mortal wounds from the crushers, and then only 8 damage from which I think, and that was against a bloody 5-up save. Yeah, they don't do anything. You'll probably get maybe 2 or 3 damage coming out of a unit of 6 because they're essentially a bloodletter on a big brass beast. So they've got 1 attack which does a mortal wound. I've played around with putting a Secretor in to double their output, but then his range is really small. But yeah, it's really just about the crushers. Now, there was a comment saying, what if you get tagged or people charge you? So that's why the 18 Untamed Beasts, I would probably go for 2 9s if I'm not chasing drops, to be honest with you. So yeah, you can push the beasts out, pre-game move 6-inch. Then you've got another layer with the Flesh Hounds who move 8. And then they can run at +3 in the right bubbles. So those boys can go way out. So I've got 2 layers. If someone gives me first turn, I've got 2 layers. And all I'm doing is saying to them, come on then, kill my stuff, and then I'm going to charge you. The Garrick's Reavers are in there to have their throats cut by the Slaughter Priest. Because if you get the 3 on the D3 with Blood Sacrifice, then they might run away, and then you get another Blood Tithe at the end of the turn. There is an argument, and people such as Darren Watson and Alan, who's in the chat here, I think, they are playing and building very much around maximizing the amount of Blood Tithe. So putting in lots of cheap shit. You can put in Chaos Spawn, or you can put in maybe another priest and take some of the judgments, because you can damage yourself with the judgments to get the Blood Tithe going. Yep. But that just limits the amount of crushers. And it does just create some glorious moments. Like, I'll be honest with you, I played 2 games at the weekend, and I only got 3 crusher charges off, but where are my notes? But I did 47 mortal wounds in 3 charges.
Wow.
Yeah. I one-shotted Stonehorn at the start of Luke's turn. I was playing Luke Morton's Ogres, and on his turn I spent 3 Blood Tithe and charged, and one-shotted a Stonehorn, which was great. I think I did 18 mortal wounds, and he failed a lot of 5-ups. Similarly, I left Avlanor on 1 wound, but that then meant that when my opponent got to his turn, I just spent 3 Blood Tithe and charged in the Lord of Khorne on the Juggernaut, and that then polished off. So there's a lot of interplay with Khorne where you're charging at the start of your opponent's hero phase to tag them and hold them in place. And this is basically just like a juiced up version of that. So you're charging to tag and hold them, but at the same time, you just might do 10 or 15 or 20 mortal wounds at the same time. Downsides, once you kill 1 Blood Crusher, they do 1 mortal wound each. So I think I'm playing around with the idea of just having 1 unit of 9 or one unit of 12, and then everything else is based around scoring the objectives, blocking up the board, because it's got a big footprint. This army takes a lot of the board, so you just it's all about holding things off. I've seen Darren in the chat there. Justice for Avlanor. Be quiet. I think it was he said to me, oh, that's the first time Avlanor's ever died. I was like, good. Bastard with his -1 to hit. So I am playing around with the idea of maybe just taking 1 9 or 1 12, and then the whole game plan is just around putting loads of crap in their way to then hold things up, and then when you get the right moment, you just insert the 12 crushers into the most important thing in their army, hopefully. But it's not perfect. Christ, I just
it's hard. Like I said, like the Khorne book doesn't have some things that you would really want to make this super work, but it's still great and it's still fun. And like you said, you have those moments charging your opponent's hero phase, really fun, shutting down, and also like those Untamed Beasts and that Khorne Demon Prince, I think is a solid like board control early like pressure, especially as it's also doing the other thing, which is maybe stopping them moving on to objectives that they want to move on at the same time as stopping charges like into your units that you don't want to get tagged because you want to charge. So you're controlling the board space quite nicely, which I think is genuinely quite interesting. So there's lots to talk about there. I mean, also great opportunity for you to just charge 60 Liberators turn 1. Like, they're not going anywhere, Owen. They're right in front of you. You don't even have to go very far. Smash.
Let's go. Smash the libs.
Let's go. 14. You'll kill 14 out of 1 unit, and then the other 2 units are 6. They're going to roughly cause, 10, 20. So you're going to do like 34 mortal wounds to that unit. So it's half dead now. You've half killed 1 unit.
And then they get to fight as well, and they probably do like 1 to 2 wounds in combat.
Yeah. So, you know, if it wasn't for the fact you can't charge the other unit, like you'd do great. Anyway, just realised this list didn't include the best core model ever, Bellacore. That's true.
Yeah, I had him in and then I took him out because it's the same cost as 6 Blood Crushers. Also, just on that note, the Crushers will hold things up. They're effectively Battle Shock immune because they're demons, and it's 6 is 240 points, and that's 24 wounds on a 4-up save. And if you roll the 1 on the Battle Shock, you get 1 back. So they can tank a bit as well. Like once they go in and crush, even if you like go into Hearthguard Berserkers and you maybe kill, I don't know, 7 of a unit of 20, like actually no, maybe the Hearthguards do just womp them. But anyway, they can hold up units quite nicely whilst you just backfill the rest with crap. With your Blood Tide if you're not charging, because it is kind of like an all-in. You go, you blow up, and then it's like then you've almost doing the Khorne hold on and try and nick objectives here and there sort of thing. But I enjoy playing it, and I just thought it was a nice lead on from the chat about impact hits with ogres.
Agreed. It's a fun one. It's still fun. Damage in the movement phase still a fun thing to think through as time goes on. You know, and we're seeing it quite common. They're giving impact hits to lots of units, which I think is good. Even the Mega Gargants have it. Maybe that's how they win events. Let's go. Like, I'll take my medicine. That's what I'll take. Humble pie. That's what I'll be eating right now. Again, just a one day. Well, Owen, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Yeah, likewise. I always enjoy this. We all get to learn together, and I always caveat this that I've probably got the odd thing wrong, and so if anybody wants to pull me up, we've had some nice people asking questions in the YouTube comments. So if anyone's got questions or corrections, please put them in there, and we can all learn together.
Yeah. Please do. And also, if you listen to the podcast, stay hydrated and leave some comments. Probably also on the YouTube as well, because I don't think you can comment on the podcast. And then, but most importantly, no, not most importantly, thanks to everyone on the Aussie Patreon. You guys are wonderful. Couldn't do it without you. And then also thanks to Twitch chat, who there's been loads of you today hanging out, talking some AgeOfSigmar. And thanks for being babes. That's been super nice. Don't forget to join us tonight. We've got a great week so far. We'll be talking to Henry Steele from Court Paint on Wednesday, doing some hangout and hobby. What a babe! Tomorrow we've got those guys from the Meta Watch on the show. How can about
hot from GW head office with player cards, right?
I might make some player cards for tomorrow and not let their actual pictures be up. And then tonight, though, I'm very excited about tonight's show. Me, Dan, James, Nathan, we're going to be talking about AgeOfSigmar scenarios. We're going to be talking about what to do for event packs and generally how to construct those. And some of the stuff that we've done in the Super Series, and then some of the stuff that we're going to do for events that we're going to hold at the T-Sports Arena. So those sorts of things and analysing them. Like, I have just thrown 4 battle plans out, Owen. I'm just like, they're not okay for competitive play. I've just thrown them in the bin. So whether or not you agree with that, that's okay. That's just for me. I don't see them being useful. So maybe give that a little watch later if you guys are interested. It's been a pleasure talking to Owen. He's a wonder. Online now, everyone. Can we get a round of applause for him, please? We'll see you guys later tonight. Have a great day. Bye.